Have you ever asked yourself if it's more important to be talented or it's more important to work hard when you're a writer, right? So, do I need talent? Do you feel like, oh, I'm not really talented enough to write? Is it as important, or do if I just work really hard, will talent not matter? And this is a question that I sometimes ask. So I'm going to talk about that today.
You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world.
Welcome to the Julia Monte channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Monte, and I'm very, very happy to meet you. I'm a women's fiction author and also a writing teacher, writing coach, and I make videos on Fridays to help you to write better stories. So let's talk about then, do you need to be talented? Do you need to have writing talent to be able to write a book, to be able to write a good book? So I attend writers' conferences a lot, usually a lot more during the summertime, and I see, different authors. We usually, at writers' conferences, you'll have a day where the authors are signing their books and meeting readers and all of that. And, you see some authors that sell tons of books and, have a lot of readers, and then other ones that not so much. And you wonder, why? Like, why does one author have such a huge following and sell so many books and others don't? So is it that one is more talented, or is it that maybe one just works harder than the other? And so this has kind of always bugged me a little bit because, I want to know the answer to the question. I'm not sure that there is an answer to the question, but I do have some ideas for you to think about. So I've seen authors that I know are talented, I know are really good writers, and they may not do as well in the marketplace. So that means they may not sell as many books compared to other writers that I read that maybe I feel that, they're not as good as, let's say, that other author. That they are not writing spectacular books, but yet they're selling a lot of books. They're super popular. Even, some best-selling authors that I think, that the story's okay, but it's not that amazing. Like, why is it that they're doing so well? So this makes me think that talent isn't really as important as hard work, because the author who is doing really well, who is selling a lot of books, might just be working much harder than the other person, maybe working much smarter as well. So hard work, smart work might be actually more important than talent. So great. So now that I've decided that for you, the video should be over, right? No, because what does that mean, right? What does hard work look like? So if you wanted to work hard to be to have a really successful book, then what do you do? What do these authors do? First thing, I think, is that they're patient. They're able to delay gratification, and they are self-disciplined. So why patience and delayed gratification and self-discipline? Well, when you are writing, it takes a long time, right? It takes a long time to go from your idea to a finished book. Yes, some writers write faster than others, but it still takes a time, and it's very challenging to create a project, even if it's something small, whether it's something like a short story, a blog post, or a longer book. It takes you time to think and to write and to market and promote your book. It's a long process, so you have to be patient with yourself. You have to be able to delay gratification, because you're not going to instantly be nobody's going to instantly cheer for you as soon as you're done, or when you finish a scene, right? It's not done. You still have work to do. There is no immediate reward for writing your book. And by immediate, I mean even a year or 2 years or 5 years. There's no immediate reward for the hard work that you're putting on. So you have to discipline yourself to do it every day, even if you are not being rewarded, even if there's nothing to, to encourage you to keep going. And you have to be patient because it might take a really long time. And actually, it might be a benefit for you. We're so used to just immediate gratification, right? As soon as we send a text, if we don't get a response immediately from somebody, we're wondering like, where are they? What the heck, right? Why aren't they responding? Because we're used to immediately getting feedback and immediately getting a response from someone. And it's good actually to be involved in a project like writing a book where you're not getting that. You might be getting a little feedback if you share it with friends or have a critique group or something. You might get some feedback, and it's nice to get some because it helps us to be able to edit and fix our stories. But it's not immediate, right? So being patient and learning how to work on something without immediately getting that feedback or that critique is helpful for you. It helps you to learn to be patient, and we all need that. So it's not a bad thing. The other thing is that it helps us to discipline ourselves to get things done. With writing, nobody is standing over you telling you have to write so many pages a day, right? So you have to discipline yourself to do that. And again, this is something that is, I think, helpful to us mentally to be able to do something that we want to do. We're only doing it not because of the reward. We're doing it because we've told ourselves we're going to do it, because we want to do it, because it gives us pleasure to write. And we're going to do it every day. We're going to dedicate some time to it. And that is, again, very helpful for human beings to be able to self-discipline themselves to do what is good for them. And I think that these authors who are successful, who work hard, do this, right? They work hard every day, even without any feedback, even without that the reward of any type. They work hard, so they do it all the time. So somebody who is successful has learned patience, has learned to self-discipline themselves, and has learned to delay gratification. And it is very gratifying at the end, right? When you do sell a book or you do have somebody say something nice about what you wrote. But it takes a while to get there. So it's the first thing, right? For somebody to work hard, that's what you have to do. That's what you have to have. The second thing is to learn how to control what you can control. There is so much in the publishing, writing world that you cannot control. You can't control if somebody's going to like your story. You can't control if you're going to sell it, really. You can't control if you're going to get a publisher. You can control getting, self-publishing, but even there's a lot of things you can't control, right? So understanding that you can't control everything and learn how to control the things you can. So stressing or being disappointed when things don't go your way for things you can't control really is not helpful, because your focus is going somewhere else. So things I know I can control as a writer, I can control my writing, I can control my writing skills, so I can control how I improve, how to improve certain things that I'm not good at. I can control the time that I dedicate to my books, my writing, my videos. I can decide that, right? So maybe I don't get to as much time as I wish I had, but I can control some of the time. Like I can decide to tell my family I am going to write every day from this time to this time. I'm not going to be bothered, right? I have control over that. Life changes all the time, right? So you might have really tiny little kids that you can't control when your baby needs to be fed or changed. That's obviously understandable, but that's a short period of time. You can't control if you have an older parent that you're taking care of, but you can control some of the stuff, right? You can sleep a little less, right? Again, nothing is going to be 100% ideal. So I'm not suggesting that, everybody has a perfect life and you decide everything and nothing else. No, obviously we're responsible for other people in our lives, for our jobs and other things. But within all of that, you can control some of the time. So that's what I can control for me. I can control how I write. I can control what I learn about writing. I can control when I write. I can control if I'm getting better or not, right? How to improve my writing. I can control when I talk about my writing. So when I do social media posts, who I tell people what I'm going to say about my writing. I can control the energy that I have when I am on social media. I see a lot of negative energy on social media. I don't really like that. So I try to control that by not really reading that kind of stuff and just going on and focusing on what I'm doing. So I control what I can control, and I don't worry about what I can't, because that is another way that I think writers that are successful, that work hard, they are really good at that, right? So they're not focusing on stuff that doesn't matter. They're not on social media to talk about, lunch or to talk about something negative that's going on in society. They are there. They know very well why they're there. They're there to promote their books. They're there to meet other readers, to meet other writers, and to really focus on that. And that is good because that helps them to succeed. The next thing, so number 3, is that they have dedicated practices and habits. So what are these habits? Well, they write consistently. They write every day. They write all the time. They have a certain amount of time, certain time and days when they write. So consistently, they're producing work. They don't only write when they're in the mood. They don't only write when they're inspired, but they write every day, even if it's not great writing. But they write every day. The next thing they do is to build a writing routine with a time schedule, right? So they have the daily habit of writing every day. And how do they do that every day? Is by scheduling it. They schedule it into their planner. They schedule it into their brain. They schedule it somewhere so that they can be consistent by scheduling it as part of their work. Another thing, again, that helps them to succeed and to work hard. They also have a dedicated writing place. So it doesn't matter where they write, but they have a dedicated writing place where they know that when they're going there, they're going to just write. They're not going to be doing something else. And again, this can be hard, but it shouldn't be that hard. You could find a place in your house, in your garage, in your backyard, somewhere that is just for you, where you can work on your story. So they do this, right? They have their space where they can create their work. And when you think about it, all professionals do this. It's not just writers, right? So you go to the hospital, you see the nurse's station, right? They have their dedicated workspace. You go, when I was a teacher in elementary school, I had a desk. And in that little corner of this just large room was my workspace, right? The students had their workspace, I had my workspace. So all professionals have a dedicated place where they can create their work, do their work. Another thing that these authors do is that they set goals and deadlines. And so they have short and long-term goals. So a long-term goal might be to finish the novel within 6 months. The short-term goal might be to write a chapter today, right? So they do this, they set deadlines. Even if they don't have a deadline from a publisher, they set their own deadlines so that they can finish when they say they're going to finish. So goal setting and having a deadline and meeting those deadlines is another way that they set themselves up to be successful. The next thing they do is they research for their story, for their novel, even if they know what they're talking about. An interesting thing, when I was at the last conference, writers conference, and I was at a table with other writers, almost everybody mentioned their research, even if they were writing something like a memoir where they knew exactly what had happened, but they still did research where they tried to find out a little bit more about their father or their uncle or whoever, or somebody in their city that they were writing about. They tried to be as detailed as possible. They research. So again, they do their job by knowing what they're talking about. The next thing they do is that they actually spend time to read about the craft and always improve. So they're reading books on writing, they're attending conferences, they are listening to videos and podcasts, just surrounding themselves with writing and information about writing so that they can continue to improve all the time. The next thing they do is they edit and revise their work. So they revise everything. They don't just put out work that is not good because somebody will know, right? So they spend the time to edit, to find errors, to rewrite, to revise until their product is in good condition, and then it goes out into the public. The next thing, number 8 for accounting, is that they read widely and they read a lot. So writers that are successful and work hard read all the time too. They're not just writing, but they're reading books, and they're reading books in multiple genres so that they're getting the feel of what's out there. And they can also borrow, right? You can borrow from one genre and bring it into your genre and make it more interesting, or have your ideas in your mind explore different ways of producing your story. So they spend a lot of time reading because they gain a lot from reading. They're reading kind of critically, right? Not just for fun, but they're actually looking at how the other writers are creating their stories and what's working and what's not working. Number 9 is that they network and they build a community. So build a community with readers and build a community with writers. So one of the reasons I think that some of these writers had so many people, the successful ones that are really selling a lot of books have so many people come to their tables to buy their books, is because they are active in these communities. They're talking to people about their books. They're letting them know, hey, I'm going to be in New Mexico. I'm going to be in New York. I'm going to be wherever. Hey, come and support me, come and buy my books, whatever, right? So they have a community. They've taken the time to create this community, to network with other people. And sometimes it's hard to do for some of us, right? Because we're introverts naturally as writers. And so it's hard to go out there and actually talk to people, but that's what you should do, need to do online and also in person, so that you're building this network, so that when your book does come out, you're not all by yourself. You have some support from other author friends and from your, hopefully, readers that like your book or want to know about your book. And the last one is 10, is that these writers are good at self-promotion and marketing. Again, this is something that might be difficult for some of us, right? So introverts, we tend to not want to promote and market too much. And but these writers do. You could see them, that they're really great at marketing. They have amazingly beautiful tables with all kinds of banners. They have really cool stuff that they're passing out. They have some games at their tables sometimes, right? So they're out there talking to people. They're really good at promoting themselves. And maybe some of the other authors who are hugely talented are not great at this. So if you have one of these things or two of these things, it's good. But if you have all of them, if you're implementing all of these, this means you're working hard, right? You're putting all these things into one place, and you are, you're really trying to be successful, just like you would at any other job. And so I think that's why sometimes hard work is more important than talent, because you could be a super talented writer, but if you're not writing all the time, if you don't have a goal, if you don't market your books, if you don't do some of these things, readers aren't not going to know how wonderful your book is. They're not going to go out and buy your book just because you wrote it. Or they're not going to buy your book because you're taking 10 years to write it, right? So it doesn't matter really how talented you are if you're not also working hard. Now, if you have both, then you are, you're set. You're super lucky. You are talented and you're doing the hard work. But at least if you think I'm not naturally talented, but I can really work hard. I can really try to become a better writer. I can work on my skills. I can write every day. I could have a place that is just for my writing, that I can take this job seriously. I can go meet people. I can read books. I can listen to videos. I can do all of these things to become a better writer. So this is why, if we put them both on a balance, I do think that hard work is the one that is most important. And then also the thing that I think most writers need to remember is that it's not over until it's over. It's not like other jobs, right? Where, you're a firefighter, and then, you can only do it for so long, and then your body's going to give out on you. You're going to get too old. It's going to get a little dangerous. Or, you're not, or an Olympic swimmer or something, right? You have a time and you have to get it done during that time. The beauty of being a writer is that you can write forever, right? You can write until you die. You can write until you're just, so old that you're like, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go on a cruise and enjoy my life. I don't want to think about characters and writing. That's fine. But you have your entire life to do this. So you can start working hard, you can start learning, and you can eventually get there. So some of these authors that I see at some of these conferences that are not doing very well, that doesn't mean that they're not going to later, right? It's not over. They're still working. Maybe they're still learning. Maybe they're brand new. Maybe they don't have a readership yet. Maybe they're very talented and they're learning some of these other things. So I think that's a great thing for us as writers, is that it's not something we have to do only during a short period of time. You can really do this forever if you want to, until you're successful. It may take you 5 years or 10 years, and that's okay, because if you love writing, you'll continue doing it until you're at the level of success that makes you comfortable. So some people are just happy just writing a few books and having a few readers. Some people want to have massive, crazy success and be a best-selling author. It just depends on what you want and how hard you're willing to work for that. Okay, so I hope that this has helped you. I hope that it's encouraged you, especially if you feel like I'm not super talented. It doesn't really matter. Obviously, you need to know something about writing, but you can also work hard to get better. Okay, I hope that this helps. Please hit the like button. Share this with the writing friends. Come back and see me next Friday. Hit that little notification bell. I know it's kind of annoying sometimes to be notified, but it's kind of nice too because you get to know when it's time to view a new video. So I hope to see you next week. Take care. Bye bye.